For the longest time, a lot of medicine felt like trying to fix a watch with a hammer. I mean, it was powerful, for sure, but not always very precise. Well, today we're in a completely new age. We're trading in that hammer for a surgeon's scalpel. So let's dive in and explore what this incredible new toolkit can actually do. So, to really get a handle on this, think of it as a tale of two medicines. Over on the left, you've got the hammer. These are the traditional drugs most of us are familiar with, like aspirin. They're chemically simple, pretty small molecules, but because of that simplicity, their effects can be kind of widespread. Then on the right, we have the scalpel. This is a whole new class of large, complex medicines called biologics, and they're designed from the ground up to be incredibly targeted. And that shift from small and simple to large and complex, well, that's what this is all about.
All right, so why did we even need these new precision tools? What was wrong with the old way? Let's take a look at the limitations of that hammer approach.
Okay, this right here gets to the very heart of the problem. Think about a traditional chemotherapy drug. It's an absolute powerhouse at killing cancer cells, no doubt about it. But it's also a pretty blunt instrument. It has a really hard time telling the difference between a cancer cell and a perfectly healthy one. And that's exactly why we see those tough, widespread side effects we're all unfortunately familiar with. And this is the question that changed everything. What if, instead of just carpet bombing an area and dealing with the fallout, we could be more like a surgeon? What if we could design a therapy so precise it could target a disease at its absolute root, right at the genetic source? That single question is the entire promise of precision medicine.
So, to build these incredible medical scalpels, you really need two key things. First, you need a way to deliver the therapy right where it needs to go. And second, you need the therapy itself. It helps to think of it like needing both a delivery truck and the actual package that it's carrying.
First up, let's talk about that delivery truck. Meet the nanoparticle. Now, when we say nano, we mean tiny. To give you some perspective, a single human hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. So these things are just unimaginably small. And that tiny size makes them the perfect little vehicles to protect and deliver these new, very sensitive drugs all the way through the body.
So why go to all the trouble of using these microscopic trucks? Well, the benefits are just huge. By wrapping the drug up in this little bubble, we can help it last longer in the body, which is great. It also helps protect healthy tissues, and that lowers the overall toxicity. But the real magic, the most important part, is that they can be engineered for targeted delivery, making sure the medicine gets exactly where it needs to be and nowhere else.
And what about the cargo? What's inside the truck? Well, the package isn't a traditional chemical drug. It's information. It's a set of genetic instructions, either RNA or DNA. These therapies basically tap into the body's own information highway. The system where DNA makes RNA and RNA makes proteins. They're speaking the body's own language.
And this is so crucial to understand. We're not just papering over the cracks or managing symptoms anymore. The whole goal of these therapies is to fix the underlying genetic issue. They can do this by replacing a gene that's missing, silencing one that's causing harm, or even correcting a tiny typo in the code. It is a fundamental shift in how we think about treating disease.
But of course, it's not quite that simple. I mean, the human body is this incredibly complex and really well-defended fortress. So just getting that little nanoparticle delivery truck to its final destination is a major, major challenge. Which naturally leads to the big question, right? How in the world do you sneak this microscopic package past the body's elite security system? You can't just drop it in the mail. You have to get past the immune system, avoid getting filtered out by the liver and kidneys, and survive a whole bunch of other defense mechanisms trying to stop you. And this slide really shows you just how intense that journey is. The second that therapy is in the body, it's facing all these barriers. You've got immune cells on patrol and enzymes that pretty much act like a factory of paper shredders. And even if it survives all that, it still has to get inside the correct cell and escape from cellular traps. It is a wild obstacle course at the microscopic level. But scientists are clever, and they found a really neat workaround, especially when it comes to cancer. It's called the EPR effect. Basically, it turns out that a lot of tumors have these weird, leaky blood vessels, and those leaks create a sort of backdoor entrance. Nanoparticles are just the right size to slip through those cracks and then get trapped inside the tumor. It's just a brilliant way of using the disease's own weakness against itself.
Now, this new class of drugs isn't just different in how it works, it's also completely different in how it's made. And honestly, this concept is absolutely central if you want to understand modern medicine.
This quote just says it all perfectly. For these complex drugs, these biologics, you cannot separate the medicine from the way it was made. The manufacturing process itself is what defines the final product, from its shape to its function. The process is the product. It's a total paradigm shift. And this table here makes that difference crystal clear. So your hammer drugs, they're made with predictable chemistry, and you get a simple, well-defined product every time. But a scalpel biologic, that's produced inside of living cells. So the final product is this complex, varied mixture. And that single critical difference is why their copy versions are called biosimilars, not generics.
So think about that for a second. The factory making these drugs is literally a living system. So even the tiniest change in the process, a slight shift in temperature, a different batch of nutrients for the cells, can subtly change the final product. You can never make a perfect identical carbon copy. The best you can do is make something that is highly similar with no meaningful differences. And that is the entire reason the world of biosimilars even exists. Okay, so what does all of this actually mean in the real world for real people? Because this isn't just theory anymore. These precision therapies are already here, and they are actively rewriting the future of our health. Just take a look at these two game changers. On the left, we have a drug called Onpattro. It's a therapy that literally silences a faulty gene that causes a debilitating hereditary disease. And on the right, something we all recognize, mRNA vaccines. They work by giving our cells a temporary set of genetic instructions to build just one piece of a virus, which then trains our immune system to spot the real thing. Both are perfect examples of that scalpel-like precision in action. And these therapies pretty much work in one of two main ways. First, there's gene silencing. You can think of this like hitting a mute button. It uses special molecules to go in, find, and destroy the specific genetic message that's creating a harmful protein. The other way is gene augmentation, which is like hitting play. It gives our cells the instructions they need to start making a helpful protein that was either missing or wasn't working right. And make no mistake, this is not some small, niche area of medicine anymore. Not at all. These complex biologics, these scalpels, they now account for a huge and growing slice of the pie. We're talking about over 40% of all modern medicines. This is the new standard of care. So we've journeyed from a blunt hammer to a genetic scalpel. We can now target diseases right down to their source code. The final question isn't if this is going to change medicine, but just how much. If our tools are getting this precise, this targeted, what will we be able to cure next?